There's an important conversation we need to have, and I am so curious whether there's going to be a general consensus on this or like split 1-to-1. And here's the question. Do we think that Eddie has naturally curly hair, or does he perm his hair? I could really be convinced either way, and honestly, it's one of those headcanons. I am fully willing to hold both at the same time, but I'm curious what people have been assuming. And I think both lend themselves really well to interesting character analyses. And personally, I've been operating under the assumption that it's a perm, but I've been reading a lot of fics where people seem not to be making that assumption just based on the way that he treats his hair and how it reacts to things. So playing out both scenarios. On the one hand, I love the thought of like little Eddie having curly hobbity hair, very much like Elle did in season 2, and maybe his hair getting buzzed in 7th grade because his parental figure or whoever was watching over him at the time couldn't handle taking care of his hair. Or maybe he was just going through a punk phase and wanted to shave his head himself. I don't know. The shaved head thing fascinates me too. I love the idea of after he moves on from this phase of fashion, him still having curly hair and figuring out how to deal with that. I also love that people refer to his hair as curls when they're so much more waves, but I just think curly hair works really well for Eddie. On the other hand, if it's a perm, which is what it looks like, I have a perm, like that's what it looks like. That takes maintenance, that takes money, that takes time, and I think that's a really fascinating aspect to consider about his character. I get a kick as much as anyone else out of the idea that Steve is horrified that Eddie uses 5-in-1 shampoo, but I just don't think so. Eddie doesn't have a lot of resources, but he focuses the ones that he has on specific things that he is super dedicated to. He has a beautiful guitar. He has awesome shoes. He put so much care into cultivating his vest and his music collection and all of these things. And his look overall is so curated. There is so much care there. And even if he didn't have the resources to go get a perm regularly, I think he might perm it himself. Which, yes, opens things up to someone. I'm putting my money on Steve, Robin, or Dustin walking into the trailer, seeing him in curlers, and him just swearing them to secrecy. But anyway, I'm so curious. What do people think? What did you assume? I'm so curious.